Well, g'day, it's Jonathan here from Ozfish Unlimited, and I'm here with Alicia and Dave in what is probably the most beautiful scene I've ever found myself in on the banks of the Nymboida River. And just behind us here is a fish that's swimming around that unfortunately has a tag labelled on it as endangered. And someone who's seen the transition of this fish from what is a healthy situation into a bit of an unhealthy situation is Dave. Now, Dave, you've been fishing in this area in the Clarence catchment today for how many years now?
Oh, geez. I'm
You don't have to give away your age, don't worry.
a little post 50. I caught my first bass in the Nymboida River on a lure when I was probably 7.
Right.
Been pretty passionate about lure fishing since. I didn't really pick up a bait. Did a lot of fishing, hunting and that as a youth, and in those days though the cod in that system was just a myth, and
So you couldn't find them?
I never caught one as a child, and I spent a lot of time on that river. It was probably, it was into the 90s, I guess, before I actually one day saw this amazing creature come out of the water, thinking it was this eel, and it wasn't.
Right,
it was just this head.
Because they've got that pattern on the back.
Yeah, it's got that beautiful pattern, and I'm looking at this thing coming up, and I'm pulling my lure away from it and going, hang on, what's that?
That's not an eel.
And this beautiful cod, about 50, 60 centimetres, grabbed hold
So that
of
was
my
in the
lure.
90s?
That was in the late 90s.
And in terms of, let's think about what they are today. When you go out, when you chase a bass in the afternoon, for example, you guys put the kayak or the canoe in every now and then, you might see 1 or 2 a session?
Here today we'll get a few.
Yeah.
In this section.
Right, so they've come a long way, but they're certainly not where they need to be. And only 2 or 3 years ago, we had the bushfires come through this area. So, Alicia, what did the bushfires do for the cod? Not good, I hear.
No, so our riparians struggled pretty bad. All our insects and native animals and all that kind of stuff there wasn't a great deal around after the bushfires. So the cod didn't have a lot of feeding, material, and it was in a pretty bad shape erosion-wise.
Yeah.
We had all ash come down through the system afterwards. Now we've done a lot of work and it's kind of cleaned up a bit, and the natives are starting to come back with a bit of planting.
With a bit of planting and stuff. So the areas where the cod would usually sit, which is like we can see just behind us, there's an overhanging tree and a snag. When the bushfire came over, that all the greenery on that was just gone, and then the natural food sources.
Everything burnt to the river here.
All the way down.
Yeah, right to the water's edge here, and on both sides. These callistemons recovered. You can still see that they are a little burnt around the base. There's a lot of trees in here though that simply didn't come back.
Yeah.
And subsequently after that fire, a big flood comes through, and we've sat here and watched it come 12, 13 metres up in a night.
Right.
And the volume of water that comes through here, hundreds of thousands of megalitres. Everything gets taken out that's not holding onto the bank.
They did their work. So from the 90s, they got back, and then the fire came, which didn't do them any favours. So, which is why we're here today. So we're heading out, 4-minute drive, I think it is, to a restoration site, and the plan is to do some replanting, trees, shrubs, I think, and a bit of fencing. You said.
There has been some fencing done down there already. There's been some bush regeneration done down there already by biodiversity doctor.
Yeah.
And so now it's ready to plant. Help it get on its way again.
How good's that? Well, that's what it's all about. Ozfish has teamed up with Landcare Australia to do a bit of bushfire recovery work in the wake of 2019. So we're heading out in a couple of minutes to a restoration site, and there's another 10 or 15 happening around Australia in the coming weeks and months. So do yourself a favour, jump over to ozfish.org.au and find out more.